languages.
Yeah, the languages are really wonderful.
Yeah.
Know them.
Absolutely. So you still got people in Italy?
If I do, I don't know them.
Okay, I got
My
it.
parents were born in Italy.
Right.
Now, can you see the screen? Can you see us on Facebook on the screen? Is that just me?
That's just you. I can see you, but I can't see the Facebook screen.
Seems to be frozen. All right, I'm gonna hit the arrow.
Okay.
Now you're moving and I'm moving and I can hear it. All right. Now, if you,
And you should be able.
We still have 4 minutes. If you want to try to get on the Facebook and see whether or not you can see yourself, go ahead and try that.
No, I'm good.
You're good. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to see how many people joined. You should be able to see how many people joined the discussion on Facebook. Do you have that when people show up for your live? You should know how many people are joining in.
That I actually I'm not that familiar with that.
Okay. Yeah, it should be right there on your Facebook live settings.
Now here I'm hearing an echo. Do you hear an echo?
No. You hearing an echo still? Are you hearing it from me when I talk? Or from
I just turned off the echo, so I can hear you without an echo, and I can do what I want without an echo. Now I want to go back to, and I assume that that is going out live on Facebook. This meeting is being live streamed. Got it. Okay. Now I'm going to turn on the record.
Now we're both on there?
Yeah, we're both on.
Okay.
There we go. All right, let's take a minute and begin. Are you about ready, or did you want to clear up something else?
I'm about ready.
Okay. Hi, neighbor, and I do mean you. Welcome to Can We Talk, the backyard version of Meet the Press. Today, on the occasion of the celebration of Juneteenth, we will discuss the proposed development on the U Street corridor, in particular, the Frank Reeves Center, the police and fire stations on 17th and U, and the Howard Theater. We will discuss what it means for the historic Black culture in the community. This discussion is a series sponsored by your neighborhood listserv, HearUsNow, founded to encourage discussion of civic issues, and by Dupont East Civic Action Association, and by the Citywide Coalition on D.Dot Bike Plans, which is asking Mayor Bowser for a moratorium on the installation of protected bike lanes in neighborhoods throughout the city. We are pleased to have as our guest today, Ernest Johnson, Chairman of the Board of the Friends of Frank Reeves Center at 14th and U Street, an organization dedicated to preserving the building which commemorates Mayor Marion Barry and the famed civil rights attorney, Frank Reeves. Mr. Ernest Johnson.
Hey, Frank, how are you, my friend?
I'm so glad that you were able to join us. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am happy. I'm happy to be here with you, Nick. I just wanted to just say happy Juneteenth, first of all, to all of our Facebook listeners and those on your listserv. So happy to be here. Just a little note on the commemoration that this is like the official second notification of America's independence and the freedom end to slavery. The end to slavery, and 1865, when the Confederate soldiers surrendered their weapons in April, the enslaved in Galveston, Texas, did not get the notification until the Union Army arrived on June 19th. And that is why we celebrate June 19th as our second. And this was 3 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, in fact. And just as a side note, according to the Pew study and a study from the U.S. Census Bureau on African American statistics, the Black population in America has grown 29% since 2019, when it was at 36.2 million Blacks in America, and we're now at 46.8 million Blacks in America. One of the things that I just want to quickly mention to your listeners, Nick, is it is very, very important for Black households to begin to unite in terms of marriage, increasing our marriage rates. There's too many single family households raising young men alone and operating on the narrative of the strong Black single female, and pushing that old narrative. And we got to get the man back in the home. We need to increase our marriage rate, and that's something that's really, really very, very important to the Black community's growth, because according again to those statistics, the average Black woman makes $55,000 a year. That's really not enough to live on into retirement. So marriage and partnership is very, very essential and necessary, in our community to thrive in the retirement years. And I just want to dispel one other notion before we really get into the U Street Carter, Nick. The old 1970 narrative that most Black men are either gay or in jail, that is old rhetoric. According to those research data, statistics that I just pointed out, 51% of Black men are single without children, and 64% of us are in the middle class. So that old adage, that old woman needs to be dispelled. But that's a whole conversation for another show, another day, Nick. When we have more time, I just wanted to just put that little Black history note in there for the Juneteenth, and just say Happy Father's Day to all of you and all of your listeners, and say let's get on with it.
Let's get on with it. Exactly right. Well, thank you very much for that. All right. Well, then the topic that we want to discuss is the Frank Reeves Center, which has been there since 1986. And why are you concerned about it? And why did you form the Friends of the Frank Reeves Center?
Well, let me just first say, Nick, that I am a third generation Washingtonian. I spearheaded Marionburg's first mayor election in 1978, along with Delano Lewis and Ivanhoe Donaldson. The late Mayor Marionburg appointed me to the District of Columbia Apprenticeship Council. And I'm a real estate broker and notary public by profession. And I am finishing up some degree work at Harvard Business School beginning this September. As chairman of the Friends of the Frank Reeves organization, we became involved with the Frank Reeves building in 2010, when a number of my friends who worked in the building brought it to my attention about needed repairs in the building. And then in 2014, the Aldridge Development Company had proposed a land swap in order to build a soccer stadium at 100 Potomac Avenue Southwest. And at that time, we opposed it. City Council had a hearing that was held at the Frank Reeves building. Over 300 residents testified in opposition of the land swap. And out of that meeting and out of that hearing, grew the Friends of the Frank Reeves, and we were able to successfully defeat the land swap deal that was proposed for the soccer stadium. So that's the brief history on how we came about.
How you came about. And what's the issue today? What are the mayor's plans for the Reeves Center, and why are you concerned about that?
Well, our basic concern is in March 2020, after we've been working in the Reeves Center for a number of years, we submitted a 125-page, $100 million redevelopment proposal that we felt the building just needed some tender love and care. We want to maintain the municipal agencies in the building, a number of nonprofits. We want to put retail on the first and second floor. We want to create Frank Reeves Community Museum for Art and History, have entertainment suites, eatery outside, as well as a rooftop restaurant. And we want to just bring some other municipal agencies into the building, like Satellite DMV, where people can go and renew their driver's license and pay tickets and other things like that. And so we submitted that to DEMPED, and it was just virtually ignored. We really basically didn't hear anything at all until December of 2020, when an RFP was issued that totally excluded us from our participation. You needed, a minimum of $100,000 and a cadre of expert engineers and technical people to be able to participate in the RFP process. And that process under Mayor Bowles has pretty much excluded 90% of the residents in the District of Columbia. Just a small amount of people that participate in that. And they're mostly front groups for out-of-town investors and others. And as a result, DEMPED and the mayor selected two finalists, Legacy Partners and CMC, two proposals that have proposed tearing the Reeves Center down and replacing it with condominiums and apartments that none of us can afford. And I think we got enough of that in the community already. And with some pseudo Black history, they want to name an atrium, the Marienburg atrium, and a hallway, the Frederick Douglass hallway, and some things of that nature. And
Well, while you're talking, I'm going to interrupt you briefly. Here are some photographs. Can you see them on the screen?
yes, I can. Mhm.
Oh, okay. Well, here's the Frank Reeves Center, so we know what we're talking about.
That's
And
correct. Here
is
let them
Mr.
know
Reeves
that's right on the
himself.
corner. That's right on the corner of 14th and U Street.
14th and U, exactly right. A lot of people don't realize, but 14th Street is an extra wide street. It's a boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes a north-south axis down to the Wilson Building, the City Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really a perfect development, and it was planned and positioned to be at 14th and U to revitalize the suffering Black community there, because that was burned out in 1968 riots.
That's correct. That is correct.
Of Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes, to revitalize that entire corridor, and it has done that excellently. And as many people know, the U Street corridor has been known for years as Black Broadway.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Well,
and here's a photograph of Frank Reeves as a younger man.
That's correct.
And I think about 1961, this picture of his family was taken with his son and daughter and his wife.
That's right.
And he was really eminent in the city and the city's operations for a long time in the civil rights movement. He was instrumental in the famous 1954 Supreme Court decision.
Brown versus the Board of Education.
That's exactly right. Yes.
And
this, I believe, is you. This is you with Marion Barrett.
That's me and Marion Barrett. Correct.
You look a little younger here.
Yeah. That was I guess about 10, maybe 10 or 15 years ago.
All right, well,
So
let me go back and we'll, all right, so the next thing we want to talk about is the, how does, what, so the mayor has plans for it and they are excluding you and they want to put in some housing and take down the building. Is that the idea?
right. And replace it with some condominiums and some apartments and some other stuff.
Tell me a
And
little bit about Howard Theater. How does that fit in?
well, let me just finish briefly
Oh, yeah, sure,
on the
please.
Reeves Center, okay, and where we're at there. Because and remember our proposal proposed keeping the municipal agencies in the building doing the renovation. What the DEMPED has discovered is that there are two agencies in there in particular, and there's several more. But in particular, the Office of Traffic Control and the Office of Cable TV, they have infrastructure that are above ground and underground that will require about $150 million in additional funding just to relocate those two offices. And DEMPED now is trying to come up with a workaround for these two groups. And we think that significantly impacts the initial RFP. And that you really can't do a workaround. They propose tearing it down and relocating it. That proposal is not going to work. The community doesn't support it. We certainly don't believe that there's enough support on the city council to support it. And the RFP just needs to be withdrawn. And I think that that's why the June 21st, Tuesday, is so important that we get the election right. I just want to, and I'll go into that a little bit later, but I just wanted to also point out how long the history through gentrification of African Americans, how a lot of that has been just disappearing. And so this is a fight that we have to fight to maintain the presence of Black Broadway in the District of Columbia on that U Street corridor. I mean, there's been about 10 or 15 billion dollars in renovation and gentrification, and we just need to, have a stronghold. The Ethiopians have Ninth and U. They used to be all Black as well. Chinatown has Chinatown down on 7th Street. Everybody has their little piece, except for the Black residents and the Washingtonians. And so, we think it's a fight worth having. We think it's a fight that we can and will win. So, that having been said, I just wanted to just let your listeners know that I think with the election of a new mayor, I think Robert White, whom we have endorsed, we are a 501c4 organization. I think with a new attorney general, Bruce Spiver, we have not endorsed Spiver, but we do think he will win. It's three newcomers to electoral politics in that race: Ryan Jones, along with Brian Schwab. And we just feel that Brian Schwab does not have the stamina to be able to travail all 8 wards. It's not that Bruce Spiver has been running in the decathlons or anything, but we think he's a little better suited. And the fact that he pointed out the DC law that made Kenny McDuffie eligible to run for Attorney General shows that he pays attention to details. So we think Spiver will probably win that. We've also, endorsed Phil Mendelson to continue as chairman, Anita Barnes to retain her seat as the at-large council member. And we're really pushing for Gordon Fletcher in Ward 5 to win his race. We think that's a nice young man. He's president of the Ward 5 Democrats. He's chairman of ANC. He's a single member district there, and he's been working in the vineyard for a number of years. I think the race for people to really pay attention to during the election night is Ward 3, which we haven't really got into, but in our discussion, our analysis of it, if Matt Freeman is winning that race, Maria Bowser is losing. the mayor's race. It's been a lot said about outside money going to Eric Goulet and Maria Bowser from the educational reform group. And I think everybody, just we want a city that's affordable. We want less violence in the city. We want to be able to enjoy the city, and we don't think that we're heading in that direction. And so there's some bold reforms and initiatives that need to be made in terms of criminal justice. Our educational system is failing, and those are some things that we really, really need to get on top of. I voted for Maria Bowser the last 2 times that she ran, and she just not been available to us. She talks about Washingtonians. She talks about native Washingtonians. She talks about fair shot in all 8 wards. But in the end, those are just slogans and rhetoric that they don't translate into the community where we truly feel the impact. So it's important that everybody get out and vote on Tuesday.
Tuesday, it's just 2 days away. Let me make a disclaimer that these are your endorsements, not ours. And but I appreciate your analysis and your endorsements. You're certainly free to say that it's an interesting.
And let me just continue saying Frank Reeves worked with Thurgood Marshall during the historic Board of Education 1955 Board of Education Supreme Court case. He is a Howard University alumnus. Marion Burry appointed him as the first Black head of the Corporation Council, which is now the Attorney General's office. So he has an storied history in the city, and we are always in contact with a number of his fraternity brothers in the city who wants to see his legacy continue as well. So that's kind of where we're at. So we're feeling real good about our position on the Reeves Center. We think we're positioned to win it at the legislative level and at the community level. In fact, we asked Mayor Bowser to ask for the resignation of John Falchecchio and Saros Alawate. And, she just tone deaf, when it comes to doing the right thing for the community. And that just
let's get back to some of the discussion of U Street corridor. This week, Councilmember Nadeau issued a tweet saying that U Street presented one of the best projects in DC for development, and she was talking about the police station and the fire station. And she said that they had authority under the law newly passed to raise the height of the buildings there. And what she's referring to is the vote in November on the comp plan. And at that time, Chairman Mendelson said that it was, the plan was too big, it was too fast, there wasn't enough reflection on it. He recommended a studied plan. And this is what we expect when we want to do planning for a U Street corridor. We want a little bit of thought and planning to go into it, and not to do it at the last moment. She introduced this thing at the last moment, and it passed unanimously. So she has that, but it is something that we might want to oppose. And immediately after she did her tweet, I mean, this is how we live today. We get tweets. The mayor issued a notice of a public hearing on July 14 to discuss the surplusing of that property at 17th and U. So that'll be, we want our people to sign up for that and to pay attention to it and to attend. That's July 14, and the details will be discussed and made available to anybody. But that's the beginning of the U Street corridor, and the other end of the corridor is the theater and your Reeves Center, and also that the little building that a lot of people don't realize is Pride DC, which is not the gay pride. It is the youth employment office that Marion Barry started, and which Frank Reeves was actually a counsel for.
That's right.
So tell us a little about the Howard Theater. What do we don't know about that?
Well, one of the things about the Howard Theater is that is currently in default of his lease. We have, brought that to the mayor's attention, and it was sued by Attorney General Carl Racine and found in default of his lease in 2018. It's about $4 million behind in property taxes. We have not been able to get an exact figure on its payment to the city, its lease to the city to a a group that was not in compliance with its nonprofit status, did not have a proper board of directors. And we think the payments that they may be behind in a couple of $1 million in payments. But the more important thing is that the Howard Theater is an historical African-American theater built around 1927. And it is just not a thriving economic engine that we need for our community. And we need all viable economic engines that provide economic opportunities as well as good paying jobs. Now, one of the theories is that, it's kind of been suffocated so that the 930 Club could thrive. And 930 Club has been very, very successful, getting a number of entertainment in, while Howard Theater has just kind of been limping along. And we think it is due to a considerable amount of mismanagement. We brought that to the mayors and didn't pay his attention. We sent proposals there. It is included in our 125-page proposal to buy the Howard Theater from the city, as well as another property in Southeast, a former Department of Employment Services building that is set vacant for about 4 years, and to partner with the city with $3 million annually for 5 years to help build affordable housing, because we do not think that the Reeves Center is the proper place for the affordable housing. Because as we all know, the developers say and promise everything, but once the deal is done, they come back and so we can't provide this, we can't provide that. There's very little follow-up and enforcement on any of these projects, to be quite honest with you. First source agreements in terms of hiring of DC residents, that's virtually ignored. Our CBEs are very rarely used on any of these projects. And that's why it's important that we get back to community development. Organizations like Community Trust and Friends of the Frank Reeves. We have all of the expertise and the equity partners to be able to get these type of projects done. So it's no reason for us to continue with these corporate developers who have these people fronting for these out of town sources of financing. We can do this ourselves, and with a surplus budget of $1.8 billion, there's no reason why it shouldn't be. And let me just say right here, and this is one of the problems when we're talking about Juneteenth and the discrimination. We still have a lot of that in the banking and lending industry. And this is what government is for, to be a bridge to close those gaps and to end that level of discrimination. And the Biden administration has just not been focused in on that. And I'll give you an example. On 7th and U Street, that whole block was redeveloped. Wanda's hair salon has been there for 20 years. She wound up having to lease her building because she couldn't get the financing. The same thing for Donnie Simpson's son, who owns the cookie store right there next to the United Negro Fund building. Wasn't able to purchase it, had to lease it, get a 20-year lease. That's because of the discrimination in the financing. So the city has to be a bridge to make that level of financing available. It cannot say, well, Ernest, how can we give you $100 million to redevelop the Reeves Center when you haven't done it before? Well, as long as I bring in the expertise, the construction, the engineers, the architects, and the project managers to get the job done, then you have the guarantees. You have the blueprints and everything. But if you keep using that same old excuse, all you do is keep going to the same little pool of developers, and our city grows more unaffordable, the unemployment rate goes up, the discrimination of financing against Black is continues going on and on. And we just cannot have 4 more years of this. It's just not working. We've proved that we're more than capable of getting these things done, but we need government to step up and be a solid bridge and be bold and innovative. And right now, that hasn't happened in 8 years. We don't anticipate it'll happen in another 4.
Well, I want to mention that tomorrow night, Monday the 20th, DECA will have its monthly meeting, Dupont East Civic Action Association, and Mr. Johnson is the guest. And we also have a resident organizer who lives on U Street who will join us. Her name is Deborah Ackle. And so if you want to hear a little bit more about this discussion and join in, that will be in person. Well, it'd be Zoom meeting, but please join us tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on Zoom and look for the link. Mr. Johnson will be us. Should we, is there something that we should say before we close, Mr. Johnson?
Well, I just wanted to remind everyone to join our friend book page and sign our online petition. We have an online petition in opposition of tearing the building down. Go to Facebook, Friends of the Frank Reeves Center, or reach out to Nick. He signed the petition. Ask him if you want to know how to sign it, and we can make sure that we get it to you as well. But we need everybody's support on this, and we think the election process is the way to go. If you can't get commitments now during the campaign season, you really cannot expect any follow through after the election. So we need the community support. Go to the Facebook page, Friends of the Frank Reeves Center, sign our petition in opposition of tearing the Reeves Center down in support of our nonprofit development proposal. And that'll be it. And I'm looking forward to being with the Dupont East Civic Action Association on tomorrow and to get in a little bit more detail. And I think, and me and Nick, we were down at the Southwest project that they had
rally.
Yeah, rather, so the community is kind of fed up all over the city. So
yes, I've had a hand in the Wardman Hotel strategy team that's been trying to get the mayor to buy that property. Would be an excellent property for affordable housing.
Absolutely.
And down in Southwest, the rally was pretty much the same thing, trying to urge the mayor to intervene and get some property under the guidance of the city. That's where we're going to get social housing and affordable housing.
That's right. And stop bringing in these outside developers who use these local groups as fronts and are just raiding the production trust fund and not complying with any of our forced service agreement laws, hiring our CBEs or our residents, and we just can't continue, in this way. And I think we're going to be successful. I think the mood in the city is really set for it. It's not only locally, but nationally as well. I mean, food prices are going through the roof. Gas prices are going through the roof. Medicine is becoming more and more unaffordable. So all of the residents, Black, white, Hispanic, everybody's saying, no, we kind of get on top of this stuff. So we're feeling real good about it. But I'm ready to be with you tomorrow night, Nick, 7 at the association. So we discuss this a little bit more. How much time we got left?
A minute and a half. I'm going to say thank you for joining us today, and thank you for our sponsors, Hear Us Now, Dupont East Civic Action Association, and the Citywide Coalition on DDOT Bike Plans. Thank you, our neighbor. Make your voices heard, attend your civic meetings, and let's see what we can do. This program is live streamed right now, and it will be available very shortly on Facebook as a video, and you could have your friends watch it. And there'll be more to follow. Let us have your feedback. And there is, let me say, there is strength in community engagement and civic action. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy to be with you, Nick.